On the 17th of April, the Ku Klux Klan had planned to march on a South African embassy. The Klan was upset that a wealthy white landowner in South Africa who refused to pay his black farm workers was beaten to death, essentially executed by the workers he tried to rip off. Only thing is, the Klan didn't show.
What brings you here?
Hey. I'm here for the protest.
What protest might that be?
South African protest.
For South Africa?
Against South Africa.
Why are you against South Africa?
Against the apartheid slaughter of the white people in South Africa.
You're against the apartheid slaughter of the white people in South Africa, but there hasn't been such a thing.
They murdered farmers, hack them with machetes, rape the women.
But considering what the apartheid government has done...
Okay, so...
No, I'm not justifying it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then I rest my case.
But see, no, you don't. You don't have a case, honestly. So you're here because of Eugene Terre'Blanche.
If somebody doesn't pay you a fair wage, then that's okay for you to hack them to death with a machete.
Well, why didn't Eugene Terre'Blanche didn't pay him a fair wage? That's the question.
I have no idea. See, if somebody doesn't want to pay you a good wage, don't work for them.
But he didn't. But he did work for them. That's the problem.
Beat them to death or hack them to death.
That's neither here nor there. Everybody's trying to turn. But the problem is. But the problem is.
That is there. That's it.
But the problem is, he didn't pay them at all. They got mad. Now that's a personal thing. That's a personal thing between them, and they had to deal with it, of course. But what happened is the AWB decided to turn this into a race war. Why? Why? This looks like it's just something that was between Terre'Blanche and the two men who allegedly killed him.
I'm not just talking about Terre'Blanche. I'm talking about what's been going on in South Africa for the past 20 years. The white farmers are being slaughtered, and nobody says a word about that.
But a lot of people have. A lot of people have, and I'm gonna tell you something. When it comes to places like Zimbabwe, folks have started rejecting Zimbabwe. Folks have stayed away from Zimbabwe, for example.
I think a few people have, and it's just been a handful.
Shoot, Zimbabwe's a mess right now because people have been stepping away from them. They have. And in the case of South Africa, that's another story in and of itself. I've known people that have gone to South Africa and thought it was a beautiful place.
It probably is.
Especially after apartheid. But what do you say? Because you can't return. Do you believe we should return to a system of apartheid?
I don't think apartheid is right. I don't think.
I'm gonna go walk over here because I'm gonna get out of the way.
Okay. Denying anybody their rights is. I don't think that's right to deny somebody their rights, but to beat people to death because you weren't getting paid a fair wage. I
think they're going to deal with it. I think that's how.
Over that. I guarantee you, if this situation was reversed and there was a country in Africa and some whites were hacking blacks to death, it would be all over the news.
But you have some situations in, say, Russia, for example, where that is happening and whites aren't getting in trouble. You do have situations like that.
You do. Hacked to death.
Muslims are getting attacked in Europe, and very little was done to those that are responsible.
There was a big outcry when the war in Croatia. They did something about that, but when it's white people, they don't stand up. But they were white
people when you're talking about Croatia now.
You brought it up.
Yeah, but I use Muslims. Yes, that's absolutely true. But you are talking about white people when it comes to Croatia. Now I'm talking about when you go to places like, say, England or France, they get attacked by the cops. Hell, you could talk about here. I mean, there isn't as much as a hue and cry as you think,
My whole point is in this country, and I guess in Europe as well, to be fair, the white population has bent over backwards to get along with the minorities.
No, they have.
Now it's gone
I got to tell you
the other way. How many white women are raped in America by black men every year?
Well, I can speak for myself. I never raped a white woman in my life.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking. How many white women are raped by black men every year in America?
But does that justify going after the entire black populace? Even if your stats are correct.
I'm not saying go after anybody.
But that's what's happened.
Be fair.
That's what happens. If you talk about, how did you find out about this particular demo?
This event?
How did you find out about this event?
On Newsfront.
On Stormfront. Stormfront is not a website for people who want to be fair.
Oh, wait a minute.
Stormfront.
You say that because it represents white people.
At the expense of everyone else.
Fair. Again,
at the expense of everyone else.
Double standard.
Double standard, you say. Now, you were saying just a minute ago that no one should be hacked to death because they aren't getting paid a fair wage. You are saying that white people are getting unfairly attacked. So is that justifiable for people on Stormfront to respond in kind, or actually continue on what has been done for 400 years?
I don't hear anybody on Stormfront talking about hacking people to death.
Nah, they just talk. They shoot them. They prefer to shoot them. But
peacefully protest the slaughter of whites in South
That's not true. I guarantee I can find a whole bunch of comments where they suggest that certain people should be killed. Innocents.
You know, I've said things in my life I wish I wouldn't have said.
Yeah, have you ever said that people should have been killed?
No.
I mean, some of these folks aren't smart
at it. Advocating anything like that.
Really? Well, think about it like this. There are people who have posted on Stormfront that have gone out and done just that. I mean, you got, what's his name out of Pittsburgh. He didn't post a lot on Stormfront, but he ended up killing 4 cops. He didn't post often on Stormfront, but he ended up killing 4 cops in the Pittsburgh area.
You know, I'm pretty new to visiting the Stormfront website myself. I had my awakening about 6 months ago to where I saw it's constantly in this country. It's a constant.
What was the awakening? What was your awakening? What made you think that you had to go this route?
You know, the straw that broke the camel's back, as silly as this is, this is where I became totally fed up, was when Rush Limbaugh was not allowed to be part owner of an NFL football team because the left in this country doesn't agree with his politics. So he was denied his rights because somebody didn't like his politics.
Let's touch on that for a minute. Rush Limbaugh was not denied rights. The NFL and those owners had the right to decide who they wanted to work with. When people cried foul, and when people said that they had issues, think about it. Those players that he would have been working with in the NFL wouldn't have wanted to work for Rush Limbaugh, and that would have hurt business. They saw that, and they said, no, we don't want to have anything to do with him. How was that denying him his rights?
On one hand, I'd have to agree with you that I guess a person does have the right to hire who they want. It may not be fair. However, it's pretty obvious that he was just being ostracized for his political beliefs.
I'm not going to interrupt. I'm sorry. No, what I was going to say is when you think about it like this, if you have certain political beliefs, like Russia's, One People's Project. One People's Project. One People's Project. My name is Darryl Lamont Jacobs, and I'm in the sun. I'm sorry, I just moved. But see, the thing is this: if you're talking about Rush Limbaugh, you're talking about a guy who has some very strong positions on a lot of issues. And the attitude is, if he believes certain things, if he believes that if he has certain issues with certain people, then why should he expect those people to want to have anything to do with him?